Happy afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Elets, I welcome all and my panelists, very eminent panelists. Along with you, I'm also going to learn from their immense knowledge what they possess. The topic is extremely wide, which talks about the technology, infrastructure, and scalability. Before going to the topic, let me begin by each panelist introducing themselves along with the organization and let them touch base a little bit on what they expertise on the today's topic. Yeah, over to you, Rishabh.
Everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rishabh. I'm working with Ugro Capital. I'm CTO over there. Ugro Capital is into MSME financing space, and we are a listed entity. And we have over 6,700 crores of AUM right present, and we are spread across more than 100 cities right now in India.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Raveendran. I am the Chief Information Officer for a mid-sized deposit-taking non-banking finance company called Sakthi Finance Limited, based out of Coimbatore.
Hi, I'm Vidya Sambasivam. I'm the CIO of Dvara KGFS. Dvara KGFS is an NBFC primarily focused on, customers from remote and rural India. Our mission is to ensure financial well-being of individuals and enterprises. In fact, we are present across almost 400 branches across 10 states in India. Thank you.
Thank you. About myself, I do represent Inditrade Scalerator Limited. We are on fintech. We have a platform which integrates with the lender and with the MSME, providing the financial solutions. So that's what we do. Today's topic is completely a huge, wide topic. So what I want to do is I want to just segregate into 3-4 areas. One is related to the cloud, another is with the infrastructure, security, and then touch base with from a compliance standpoint how it can be handled. Okay, so what I will do is I will just come to because you've been on the both the sides from a from an implementation standpoint and from a user standpoint. You've done end-to-end activity. From your standpoint, can you touch base from your because if all this topic, if you go to ChatGPT or if you browse everything, a lot of theoretical knowledge is completely available. But from a practical perspective, I want to understand from a cloud migration perspective, what is that best practices you can able to suggest us whenever we decide from a cloud migration standpoint. Yeah.
I think one of the key things, cloud, I'm sure everybody is hearing cloud all over again and again, right? And I think I would like to touch upon some of the challenges and then move on to best practices in terms of how this can be looked at. And interestingly, as Balaji mentioned, I've been on both sides of the table, right? I'm now the CIO representing an NBFC, but I've also been for a long time part of a software product company implementing solutions as well, right? Lending product company implementing solutions for NBFCs and banks. So the interesting thing about cloud is that you need to first of all understand the real reason why we're moving to cloud. And I see that as one of the biggest challenge. There should be a clear business case of why moving to, why someone needs to move to cloud. And it's not very easy as well because it takes a lot of, it's quite expensive if you really have to do it for large companies, right? If they have to really think that they need to move lock, stock and barrel into cloud. And sometimes cloud movement is more like, okay, I want to move to cloud because that's what it is. Everybody is moving to cloud, so I would want to move to cloud. Actually, it doesn't work like that, right? What is very, very important is to assess where the organization stands, what kind of applications are there, and how this can be moved to cloud. And when the actual movement happens, to know which one will, how they will get moved as well, okay? One typical thing is for applications, it'll actually be something like, some things you will just move as is, you almost rehost it. Some things you will do it as re-platform them. And sometimes you may want to transform the applications, right? Rebuild them and then move. So there are multiple aspects of those and all of that will have to be considered, okay? And will have to be thought through. Overall TCO needs to be built and then taken care. So this is one area. The other area that I actually have seen as a critical challenge is also the information security. typically, information security from a standard traditional systems, people are very clear out and, it's very easy to follow. But the minute you need to move to cloud, you will have to think through this a little differently. A best practice will be to put up a cybersecurity framework clearly for cloud and blueprint it, and then actually really move to it. And what an important other aspect is that an awareness needs to be created, right? All the CIOs need to be aware that the minute you say you need to move to cloud, you will have to put far more rigor and review into the overall security practices. It's just not going to be, okay, the same thing will work. It does not work like that. So that's another thing that we'll have to look at. And cloud really is not just cloud, right? It can be, infrastructure as a service, it can be software as a service, it could be platform as a service. Each of that comes with its own, and you will have to consider all of that as well. Those considerations will have to be looked at. And maybe just another couple of points I want to highlight. The third one is also, after you move, there are other problems that typically come. Most of them say that I moved to cloud thinking that it's going to be cost effective, but it really is not, right? That's something called cloud sprawl. That's what people are hearing now. That's because you just keep adding systems there and becomes all the more expensive. So there needs to be close review of whether you are able to optimize the use of cloud, and that's something that will have to be regularly looked at and taken. So I think some of these are the challenges, and I would say these are things that people will have to take care as well.
From my experience, like it was a very good thought process. You touched upon multiple things, like you told, like, let's get into the application level and understand each and every application, how to migrate each application. That was a very nice understanding for everybody. And then I have a framework, based on the framework, go ahead. And then finally also touched on crowd sprawling, like cost factor need to be, you talked about infrastructure as service, platform as service. But one thing today, when I was going through, there was a company who was saying lending as a service. That's nothing but Ugro. Their ad was saying lending as a service. Like, so I want to come to you today, like, and understand, like, since you are a kind of a practicing with a huge amount of data, like you got a huge amount of data and the customer base is too big. What kind of strategies do you use for managing your data and securing your data?
So I pretty much agree with you. So data management is very critical for nowadays. So there's abundance of data right now. And data is growing very rapidly as newer and newer data sources are being uncovered. As an NBFC, we collect a lot of data, customer data, banking, whether it's banking, financials, bureau data, individual and business information. Apart from this, we collect, this data is being used for making effective underwriting decisions. Apart from this, we collect a lot of sales data, which is being generated by sales team across India. Basically, it's being used for their measuring their performance and calculating their incentives. Apart from this, we collect a lot of business transaction data, which is captured in our spend management systems. There's a HR data which we collect, which we keep on collecting across the organization for all the employees. And there's a collections data. So there's no dearth of data. This data is growing very rapidly, and there's there's urgent need of managing this data right now. In many organizations right now, what I see that many of these data are collected and being used in silos, basically, and there's no proper broader strategy linking all these different data points. And organizations as a whole are many of the times are they clueless how the data, what all data is being generated, collected, how the data is being used in access, and criticality of the data in case data fall into wrong hands or being exposed to an unintended audience, basically. So having a clear view of data is very important for the organizations. Apart from this, there are newer applications being added on a regular basis, and older applications are being replaced. So during these transitions, I'd seen there are instances of data being lost. So for this data, the complete data management strategy is very critical, and having a good data management strategy ensures a good data quality, ensures security, compliance, and make sure that data is accessible whenever it is required. In Ugro, we invested a lot in building a data lake from the day one, basically. So all the data from all the systems, multiple systems, are being flown into our data lake, which is a central source of truth for us. So there's a single point of truth for us in form of data lake. And each and every data point is clearly documented basically. And so we had achieved a standardization across all the data points within the organizations. So each and all the systems, whatever systems we use, they have their own mechanism or their own data dictionaries basically. So having the ETL process in place, we are able to achieve a single standardized data dictionary across all the platforms basically in the form of data lake. And this is being used by our underwriting team to build effective underwriting models. Whenever a new application is deployed in our infrastructure, we make sure before the application goes live, we have the required ETL pipelines built into our data lake basically. So that's a day one requirement for all the applications whenever they go live. So we have completely documented data policies which governs storage, collection, and privacy of the data. Basically, all the data points which we collect are clearly documented for their privacy requirements. They are classified whether they are confidential, they are external data, there's internal data. Basis that all our policies have been implemented. Or being on cloud, there's a real advantage. So all these policies and compliance policies are baked into our storage mediums basically. Suppose we have an S3 bucket and we kind of developed the policies around it that the particular bucket contains personal identify information. Then that information cannot be moved out of that particular S3 bucket, cannot be moved out of, cannot be deleted basically by any person who is not authorized basically. So this is the benefit we got out of cloud basically in terms of implementing all these compliance policies in our deployments.
Thank you, Rishabh. That was in detail, like touching on data strategies, standardization of data, and how do you safeguard and protect the data. So one thing I want to understand, like, are we collecting excess of information or only the information we need it for our decision making? So what do you see on that? Like, see, many times when you go to a customer or anywhere now, there are some data are collected, we don't even act upon it. It will be there residing in our system. So how do you ensure that we are only collecting the data which we need it actually? What is actually required for a decision making?
It's a general tendency basically to collect whatever data is available basically. So at many times you do not know whether you need this data in the future. So this requires the complete alignment with the business and regulatory requirements, whether you're going to store this data point and or whether you're going to need this data point in the future. So that's very important. So we have closed loop discussions between business teams and compliance teams whenever new data point is accessed, and we take a call whether we need to store this data point or not. So apart from this, there's a new regulation or regarding right to forget basically for the customer. So in case customer decide that we do not, if the lending institution not required to store the data if he had not been granted loan, again there are policies around the same if we need to purge that data of a customer.
Thank you, Rishabh. Dr. Raveendran, I want to come to you. Since you run a large setup and the business complexity is also huge, where you do a lot of business, from an infrastructure standpoint, how do you ensure the scalability and secured, taking IoT into consideration also?
Thanks, Balaji. I think that's a very relevant question. Now we deal with not only IoT. I think we deal with a lot of connected technologies. I think you go back and see, I think we talk about LAN, WAN, VPN, and the next dimension of this thing. We got into internet, social media. I think the connected technologies are very high nowadays, and any organization I think has to be equipped to take care of that for the optimum benefit of the organization. And coming to your point, like see, the concern areas could be the bandwidth at which I think all the interconnected devices are being deployed, latency. Because if you give an example, no, any organization or in our personal life, no, I think we face this. I think we connect with a lot of entities for the benefit of either taking data or storage, retrieving, even for data lake purpose, etc. So one is bandwidth and the latency part, and like you mentioned, the scalability. Another very important thing, security part, and again, interoperability, how they talk each other, and how quick the intended purpose is getting solved. And see, because even we are talking the age of blockchain, etc., it's all interconnected. So coming to the solution part, everywhere I think we have redundancy nowadays, and even my colleague knows, she talked about cloud. Even suppose you store a lot of data in the cloud, there is elasticity there. I think any point of time, even though suppose your volume increases, you should be having an arrangement like automatically the scalability, the configuration should get enhanced. And load balancing. In fact, like there are interconnected devices are there. There should be always a load balancing and failover to take care of the scalability part. And one more important thing is the security. And everywhere, like we are in a position to see that it's all secure. Security is not getting compromised. So the overall perspective is that we can't underestimate the usage, or we can't underestimate how things are getting deployed. So any interconnected technologies, the main areas to take care of is the interoperability also, because we deal with multiple technologies, and whether the protocols match each other, that also should be taken care now, because we have different applications are running now. So the scalability as a perspective, it all getting revolved around so many parameters like this. But everything is taken care, then only the real intended purpose will get achieved actually.
That's in detail, Dr. Raveendran. Much appreciated, like talking and touching every layers of networking and how the application is supporting that networking. Vidya, I want to come to you, since you've been advocating on cloud strategies and all. Two things I want to understand, because there are various clouds offerings, whether private, public, or co-location, infra, multiple things are there. Okay. Second thing, from a data management perspective. Okay. So what are the best practices and strategy you advise on both the points?
Okay, I think one of the things about choosing a right cloud provider, right? There are many out there, but I think, again, going back to my point, you will have to assess the current environment that is there for the organization and then decide the cloud provider, right? If the current application landscape, the infrastructure landscape suggests that you are in an open source kind of a background, right? Some of the providers may be better off, okay? But if you have, for example, a Microsoft based one, maybe a default choice could be to move to Azure, because it'll also allow you to not spend too much in changing everything as you move, right? And the biggest advantage of moving to some of these cloud providers, and that too public cloud providers, are to use their native functions. And they give significant benefit in terms of both, the way to scale all the functionalities, as well as, ensure some of the newer things that they bring up as part of it, okay? So, and when I say native functions, these are very, very specifically built in a way where those functionalities can scale, can make use of their particular architecture that they have put in place to scale as well. So that's the advantage of, and so the choice of a service provider becomes important. However, for complex organizations, my experience tells me, in fact, if you were to look at Dvara KGFS, we are 100% cloud, but we are cloud agnostic as well, right? We can move across cloud. But for larger organizations, in fact, I would suggest that people should look at maybe even multi-cloud, right? Because there may be reasons to keep some in certain, as part of certain cloud providers, because that can give you the biggest benefit. But it needs to be done with a lot of thought. So that's an important thing, okay? And scalability also in cloud, as was, Dr. Raveendran was touching upon. Actually, both from an infra perspective as well as from a data perspective, cloud gives us the opportunity to scale very easily, right? From an infra perspective, you put some machines there, you can do vertical scaling, you can also do horizontal scaling. You can decide to say that I have 4 CPUs now, I suddenly wanted to become 8 CPUs with so much more GB, that's possible. I can add more machines also as well into it. So that's the advantage that cloud gives. In fact, if there are right enterprise architects and people can think through, what's also possible is to make use of the right time, to take that scalability as well, right? You can configure in such a way that during my peak times, I'll scale this up by a few more and drop as the peak goes down. That's also possible. So those are advantages, of course. And similarly with data management as well. I mean, there are compliance requirements for us to hold the data for many years, and you need to ensure that you have, he spoke about collecting data from all applications. These are going to be huge amounts of data. So cloud providers offer, ways to really actually look at this data. And in fact, I am sure, I was asking whether this data is of use or not, but over a period, data is being monetized now, right? So data is almost the power for every organization is how it's actually turning out to be. So I think from that angle also, what cloud providers give is ability to kind of, gives the elasticity, right? You can have active data, you can have archival data, which you can take some time to bring up. You can also have what you call as a hot data, cold data, and active data. Those kind of possibilities are there. So it's just that, you need to have the knowledge to be able to get what you need out of this. And I think that's another challenge typically everybody faces. We really don't have that level of knowledge many times to make use of the features that are provided. That's also there.
Thank you. That will be helpful for our audience, certainly. Thank you very much. Dr. Raveendran, I want to come to you since you run a large infra setup and all. Can you touch a little bit on like the green energy, reusable carbon footprint, and kind of eco-friendly initiatives which you drive it, or general best practices on eco-friendly initiatives?
No, this topic is a very vast topic and highly relevant also. See, this normally first initiative we take is like user awareness. What is green and what is to be considered here, because it's start from the basic thing. Like in a technical point of view, one thing is like we started moving to cloud. In fact, that is one of the green initiative. In fact, instead of having our own servers, multiple servers, having a data center, and running AC, all the facilities over there. And the second thing is virtualizing. I think this is pretty old. I'm not telling you the virtualization part and all. Either you do it here, because still I feel many companies they buy multiple servers and run for different application and all. Virtualization will really help. This is pretty old concept only, but still some companies not virtualized. So they can take it as a core part to virtualize it. And energy saving in many ways. Suppose for example you are 24/7 and your load sometimes after 10 o'clock it's not there. I think the users are not there or very minimum thing and all. There are facilities available within internal data center or over cloud that can be put in the idle mode or silent mode. There are facilities available. In fact, you are not only getting the green benefit, it also get the cost benefit out of it. It didn't take for, I don't know the name, the cloud vendor, even the pricing is different. Suppose night 10 o'clock, after that till 4 o'clock. In case, my thing is, in NBFs is mostly night time. It's sometimes most of the staff may not think. So in that case, you take the model, so you're saving cost as well as, you're saving energy, etc. Even simple thing, our staff are there, what they're doing, while going for a coffee break or going for lunch, they're going for a discussion, they may not, put that the systems, in a silent mode or sleep mode, whatever. They leave as it is and go. In fact, in the information security parlance, there is one thing is there called clean desk, clean screen policy. In fact, they insist that the moment you go, I think we set a policy like after 1 minute, the screen will get locked, go to the normal mode. So there are so many initiatives we taken that, and again, e-waste part. Most of the companies, I think any e-waste is getting generated. Anything, it can be old keyboard or old mouse, etc. And all. They have a policy of dumping it along with other waste, like they do with the normal waste and all. But there are facilities available. You have to go and approach with the e-waste solution providers are there. They come and take it, and they'll do in a very systematic way of disposing it. This is very, very important. You don't know how many companies are using, how many devices are using, including hard disk, monitors. So many things all is happening now. And again, I am repeating, there should be a corporate policy for this green initiative that should be enforced from the board level to the staff down the line for getting at you. Whatever indicated, some of the things maybe tip of the iceberg, but that is very, very relevant nowadays.
Pretty interesting, Dr. Raveendran. That will be really helpful for all our audience here, like starting from the small initiatives to the larger initiatives. Really helpful. Rishabh, I want to come to you, since you talk more on storage and data. I want to understand what kind of automation, orchestration you've done around with the data. Just in 1 or 2 minutes, you can brief it. Then we can go to the audience for Q&A.
What I just mentioned, regarding when we collect data through multiple sources with automated pipelines built into the data, basically. So data is automatically extracted through scripts, basically, from all the data sources. It's transformed, is transformed, it gets cleansed and transformed into a required format, and gets loaded into the destination database, which is data lake primarily for us. So that kind of automation we built in. So frequency of data loading is hugely depends on the kind of data which we are bringing into a data lake. Apart, all the critical data which is required for real-time reports is being refreshed on for shorter frequencies, basically say 15 minutes of time. Any data which is not critical, not required for real-time consumption purpose is being loaded into our data lake in every 24 hours. So these kind of automations we had built in on our data lake. Apart from this, even Vidya has mentioned that so they are archival policies again built into on the storage. This is basically. So we had built this policies around the duration of the data, vintage of the data. Basically, if the data is used to be 4-year-old data and the customer loan is no longer active, then automatically that particular data, customer documentation goes into a long-term archive. This saves us a good amount of cost on the data storage also. So these kind of automations are there in place.
Thank you, Rishabh. All the topics what we covered is of pretty immense value to all the August gatherings here. We do have a minute. I'll open up to the audience. If there are any Q&A, please let me know, please. So anything which is relevant with the present industry, infrastructure, cloud. Dr. Raveendran, can you touch up? Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yes. My question is more around digitization of the legal aspects. When you get into the post loan disbursement, when there is a dispute, what is the view of your organizations on digitization of these legal processes as well? Because my understanding is that a lot of it does continue to remain very physical, very Excel driven and paper based. So any specific steps that you're all taking on that front, and what's your view on that?
Can I have a name?
My name is Soham Shah. I'm
Soham
from
Shah.
Resolve 360.
Thank you. You want to take it up? Yeah.
Thanks for raising the question. That is a very, very relevant part, because most of the organization, I think it all covers like the full cycle and normal settlement. When it comes to the delinquency, in fact, that important role lies. See, what we do in Sakthi Finance is it is automated actually. Suppose we normally either repossess the vehicle and then we sell also. Then we go for legal action. See, all that points are captured, including the repossession of the vehicle, putting in the yard, and disposing it off. Then issuing a legal notice, the related formalities, and either we go to the court for I think the hearing, etc. Or we also appoint a lot of arbitrators in different locations. They'll come. Everything is getting recorded. So any point of time, in which case and what stage, there I think we defined about 12 stages. Till it closure, at that point, it can be tracked. Another important thing is, all the notices we give, honestly, we still follow the printing and sending to them, because our customers are subprime customers and all. But all copies are scanned and scored. And any communication we are sending through them, any letter or email is very minimal. That also scanned and stored. So any point of time, post that legal action is taken, suppose you come to the contract or a vehicle or customer, complete details is aware and people can see it. Till I think most of the 90% will get resolved, 10% will hang, no obvious reasons for some time and all. So these details are, it is digitized. So any point of time, by giving the contract number, you can come to know the status of it actually. So that any due date for hearing, due date for arbitration, everything and all, the concerned legal officer will get reminded, so that without fail they'll take action.
I wish to add on this from the data storage perspective. Whenever there is some kind of legal dispute going into, so there's a lot of data requirements from the legal sides and from to be presented in the court basically. So at many times I've seen that whenever there is a time to present all these data points for the particular case, we have seen that either data quality is not good or critical data points are missing basically. So here come the importance of being able to manage the data effectively, to ensure that data, whatever you data is being collected, the quality checks are being run on the data on a regular basis basically. So there should be complete email trail or communication trail from the beginning till the time the customer gets onboarded. So that needs to be stored properly. It's not like at the end of the day, whenever there is a case, you say that all this data is now do not exist in the system, we cannot produce the trail. So these things comes whenever, if there is good data management practice, so this come very handy while taking care of these kind of legal disputes.
I think the outcome is completely digitized. That's the outcome I came to understand. Its time is up. I request everyone to give a huge round of applause to all my panelists. Thank you very much.